share my
Yes.
screen now so that everybody can see what I'm speaking about. So as Leclerc has already introduced me, I'm Miga. I've been in recruitment for over 10 years, and I really love being able to show people and help people to make a bigger difference in their careers. So for me, LinkedIn is that platform that I love sharing, because I really think that without LinkedIn, we can't make a difference. So let me just share my presentation with you quickly. That's the first thing I need to do. All right, what are you seeing on your screen? Does it say LinkedIn, Gita Winter, ABSO, ISM, Individual Staff Master, Career Development Practitioner? Is that what it's saying?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so LinkedIn, why LinkedIn? I really want you to understand that LinkedIn is really underestimated. It can really make a huge difference in your career journey. You may think that LinkedIn is like any other social media platform, but it's really one of the places where recruiters, where hiring managers, and professionals are looking for talent just like you. Okay. So at the end of today, or at the end of the session, I want you to take away some practical information. I want you to be able to know how to present yourself professionally online, and how to make recruiters like me notice you, and how to position yourself so that opportunities can find you. All right. So going on to the next slide. So why does it matter? Why does LinkedIn matter? You'll see it's one of the largest professional networking platforms on the slide. You have access to learning. It's used to source candidates. When, I want to ask you something. When an employer is looking for somebody to hire, where do they look first? And very often the answer is LinkedIn, because as you'll see, it's the largest professional network. Okay. And it's very important for you to know that even if you're not actively applying for a job, somebody can still find you. Okay. But the key question I want you to think about is, when they find your profile, is it going to make them stop and pay attention? Are you standing out from the crowd, or are you just the same as everybody else? And are they then going to move on to the next person? That's what I want you to be able to, when we finish here, want you to be able to work on, so that you know that your LinkedIn profile is going to stand out. All right. So whether you realize it or not, you already have a personal brand. Each and every one of us have a personal brand. And it's simply how people perceive you professionally. And your LinkedIn profile is one of the main places where your brand is visible. So when somebody looks at your profile, they're asking themselves a few questions. Who are you? And what can you do? And are you credible and professional? And your profile should really answer those questions quite clearly. All right. Your profile should show your strengths. What are you interested in? And where do you want your career to go? Remember, your profile is not something that you're going to create today, or when you're starting your new job, and then forget about it. As you are growing in your career and you're learning new skills and you're gaining more experience, your profile should grow with you. You should be able to connect with professionals where they can get to know you, as you'll see the triangle: know you, like you, and eventually what your brand should be, for people to get to know you, to like you, and to trust you. Right. Before I explain this slide, let me ask you something quickly. And nobody has to answer anything. I want you to think about this. Have you ever tried to learn something new? I'm sure everybody has, whether it's learning to drive, learning to code, learning a sport, or even learning how to cook something for the first time. When you first started learning that skill, do you think that you became good at it immediately? Probably not. Not one of us. And that's because learning something new really requires a few different things working together. And you'll see you need the knowledge or the theory, all right? You need practice, and you need to learn from others who have more experience. And you need to do this consistently so that you keep improving. So LinkedIn works in a very similar way. Your profile, the content that you share, the network that you build, and the LinkedIn algorithm um, really work together as a system. None of them work well on their own. They really are supporting each other. So your profile should help people understand who you are and what you can do. Your content is going to show how you think, what your interests are, and what you are learning. And your network connects you with the people and potential opportunities. And the LinkedIn algorithm, none of us can get away from the LinkedIn algorithm, unfortunately. It rewards your activity, which means when you engage with others, when you share insights with them, more people are likely to see you. And when all four of these are working together, your visibility starts to show, and people begin to understand your professional value. And if one of the things are missing, so your profile is there, your network is there, the algorithm is there, but you haven't got any content, you kind of, there's an element that is missing, okay? And it becomes harder to see the results. And if you're thinking, as I spoke to you about the skill in the beginning, if you think about learning something new, you're really studying the theory, but you're never practicing, or you practice, but you never learn from others, your progress really becomes slower. So the key message here is really balance. So when all four work together, your LinkedIn really works so much more effectively for you. All right. So your brand is a marketing exercise, okay? When you hear the word marketing, most people immediately think about companies advertising products. You think about brands promoting phones, clothing, cars. But in a professional world, something similar happens with people like you and I. Whether you realize it or not, you already have a personal brand. And your brand is simply the way people perceive you. And when somebody visits your LinkedIn profile, they start forming an impression about you. They're asking questions like, who are you? What are you good at? And where could you fit into their professional environment? Now, here's something important to remember. Even if you don't actively build your personal brand, people are still going to form an opinion about you. So the choice is this. Are you going to leave your brand as is? Or are you going to shape your brand intentionally? For me, I wouldn't leave it up to chance. I would be intentional about my brand. So this is where the 4 Ps really become useful. Positioning. How is it that you want others to see you, right? For example, are you somebody that is interested in finance, in marketing, in technology, data analysis? What is it that you are interested in? The second, your purpose. It's about what motivates you and what direction is it that you want your career to take. The third P is presence. So are you visible? Can people actually find you when they search for somebody with your skills? So that's important. And remember the skills, because I'm going to come back to the skills just now. Fourth is your personality. And this is how you communicate, the tone that you use, and how people experience interacting with you. When these four elements work together, something really powerful happens, because people begin to understand who you are and what you stand for. And that is really what building a personal brand is about. It's not about pretending to be somebody that you are not. It's about clearly communicating what your strengths are, what your interests are, and the value that you bring to others. So again, I'm going to go back to, are you going to leave your brand up to chance, or are you going to be intentional in building your brand on LinkedIn? Moving on to the next slide. Just like your LinkedIn profile, it says it's your landing page. So it's similar to a website. Imagine you apply for a job and your CV lands on a recruiter's desk. One of the first things I do is search for you online. So very often I'd open up your LinkedIn profile. Now, when I land on your profile, I want to ask, who are you? What skills do you have? And the most important thing, can you help solve a problem that my client has? And if a hiring manager may say, can you solve a problem that their team has or the company has? So as I said, your LinkedIn page is really like a website. So when somebody arrives on your LinkedIn profile, they're really going to decide very quickly whether they want to continue reading it or move on to the next person. So you need to make it easy for them to understand who you are and what value you bring. So imagine I'm a hiring manager and I open two LinkedIn profiles from two different graduates. The first profile says, I'm looking for an opportunity where I can grow, develop my skills, and gain experience. Now, really, there's nothing wrong with that. It's honest, but it mainly tells me what that person wants. Then I open up a second profile, and the second person says something like, I enjoy analyzing data, turning information into clear insights that help teams make better decisions. During my studies, I worked on projects where I helped identify trends and presented findings in a simple way. Suddenly there's a change. As a hiring manager, I really start imagining how that person is going to help my team. And I can see the value that that person can bring to the team. Both people may have exactly the same level of experience, but the second person really helps me understand how he or she can contribute to the team or to the company. And that's the shift that you need to make. You need to think about what is it that you can do for somebody else, for another company. So your LinkedIn profile should not only talk about what you want. It should really help people see how you can support them, how you can contribute to a team, and how you can help solve problems. When it comes to hiring, it's really about what the employer can do for you. It's really about what you can do for them. And when somebody looks at your profile, they should quickly understand how you are going to add value with your skills. Okay. And if you if you change your thinking in this way, you're really going to change how you present yourself on LinkedIn. Instead of only saying what you want, start showing how you are able to contribute. And that's when somebody or people are going to start taking notice. And people in companies are going to see you differently. And you'll see in the bottom line of this slide, it says, avoid I and focus on you and your, what you can do for others. Right. Optimizing your profile using AI. Now, we've spoken about your LinkedIn profile, that it's important, and how do you actually improve it? And I know generally everybody is using AI today, whether it's ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, Gemini, etc. And I'm sure that you're using AI tools for studying, for research, for assignments. And the same technology is going to help you to refine and review and improve your LinkedIn profile. For example, you can ask AI to look at your profile and compare it to job descriptions and in the field that you want to enter. It's going to help you identify the skills that employers are looking for and suggest ways for you to improve how you describe your experience. And it can also help you structure your headline, improve your summary section, or explain projects that you've worked on during your studies. You'll see the link at the bottom there. I will share any links that come across on the presentation. I will share right at the end. So you're welcome to take a photograph, but I will share all the links right at the end in the conversation in the chat. All right. So the link that's shared on the screen, it's really going to help you to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So it's something that you can go and use and immediately make changes to your LinkedIn profile. All right, because it'll give you suggestions on how to improve your visibility and how your profile may appear to recruiters. Remember one thing, when using AI is there to support your thinking. It's not there to replace you. You are the human being. AI is just the machine. All right. Your message and who you are should really come through clearly, and it should be truthfully. Your authentic self should really come through. All right. You don't want it to sound like AI. You don't want it to sound generic like every other person that is maybe making use of AI. Make sure that you put enough information in there that resonates with who you are as a person, that your personality comes through, so that if a friend reads that and they don't see your name, they're like, oh, that's Miga. I can see that's Miga. It's not, oh, okay, I'm sure Miga used ChatGPT or Gemini to write this. So your personality must really come through quite clearly on your LinkedIn profile. All right. And remember, recruiters are reading hundreds of profiles, and it really becomes easy to recognize when something sounds generic or overly artificial. Your AI is just a starting point. It'll give you ideas. It'll help you to organize your thoughts, but always go back and adjust the wording so that it reflects your own voice and your own experiences. Think of AI as a coach that's going to help you to refine your message, not as the person telling your story for you. Authenticity is what needs to come through. All right. AI is there to help you write better, but it shouldn't ever replace your voice. Right, the core elements of a good profile: your visuals, your header, and your about. So when somebody opens your LinkedIn profile, they usually scan it first. Their eyes move across a few key sections to quickly understand who you are and whether they want to learn more about you. So there are certain parts of your profile that carry more weight than others. And the first thing people usually notice is the visual impression. Your profile picture and banner image creates the first impression. A professional, clear photograph immediately signals credibility. And it doesn't have to be formal. Somebody can take a photograph of you against a wall or against a tree with your phone. That's great, but not with funny things on the photograph, or there's a whole lot of other people in the background. Make sure it's a clear photograph only of you, and it's head and shoulders photograph. All right. It's important to remember that recruiters and hiring managers are much more likely to click on your profile if you have a picture and not an AI generated image. Please, not an avatar, the real you. A real you, a real photograph really helps people feel that there is a genuine person behind the profile. The next thing that people are going to look at usually is the headline. And this sits directly under your name. And this quickly should tell people what field you're in and what you are searching for, and whether your profile is relevant to the position that they have. All right. It should give them a clear idea of your fields, your interests, and the most importantly, the value that you bring. All right. The About section is where you have the opportunity to tell your story. All right. And it's a chance to explain your interests, what you enjoy learning about, and where you would like your career to develop. Your why should come through quite clearly here. Why are you interested in your field of study? What motivates you professionally? These things you can put all in the About section. There's obviously your career experience, qualifications, skills, awards, projects. Please go through all of these headings and go and complete them as much as you can. Because during your studies, you are involved with projects, you are doing volunteer work, you're upskilling yourself every time you are involved in a project or in an assignment. Whatever you do, you are learning constantly. All right. So make sure that you are completing all the subheadings so that everything comes through, that when somebody goes further into these subheadings, they can see exactly what you do, what qualifications you have, what are you still studying. All right. So that they really understand your journey. Right. The skills section is also important because it really helps recruiters to find you when they are searching on LinkedIn. All right. And ask yourself an important question. Do these sections clearly help somebody understand who I am professionally and what value I bring? So remember that when you think of your opening up your LinkedIn profile as if you're a recruiter. And if you're that recruiter and you're thinking, oh, okay, so I'm opening up Meagaz, what can she do for me? Think about it in that way. Right, you're personalizing your URL. It's a small change that you need to make so that your LinkedIn profile looks more professional. So when you're creating, if you haven't created a LinkedIn account, it's fine. You'll notice that the platform automatically generates a long link with random numbers and letters. And it usually doesn't look very clean and it's not easy to remember. So the LinkedIn profile really looks like a Wi-Fi password, and it's difficult to read and to remember unless you can remember all these different letters and numbers. That's great, but it doesn't really look professional. So when you go into your LinkedIn profile, you can actually, there's a section that says public profile and URL. You can go there and you can personalize your profile. All it means is you need to change it so that it only includes your name and surname, so that it immediately looks cleaner and more professional. All right. And it's easier then to share your link to with others, whether it's on your CV, on an email signature, or any other professional platforms. You can share your LinkedIn URL. All right. And you can also do this directly from your profile page by selecting the option to edit your profile. All right. So that's changing your URL, which is a quick, easy fix. Your skills, and I said I was going to go back to the skills. So let's talk a little bit about the skills section. Most people think the skills section is really a list of your abilities, but it really plays a much bigger role than that. LinkedIn really works a little like a search engine. Recruiters often search for candidates by typing specific skills or keywords into the search bar. For example, instead of searching for something like graduate, they may search for skills such as data analysis, financial modeling, Python, project coordination, digital marketing. So LinkedIn then will scan the profiles and show people whose skills match those keywords. That means that the skills you include on your profile help determine whether recruiters are able to find you. So make sure that when you're choosing your skills, that they are aligned with the field that you want to work in and the types of roles that you want to pursue. It's also helpful to place your most relevant skills at the top. So as you're learning new skills, make sure that your the most relevant ones are sitting right at the top. Another important point to avoid is to repeat the same skill in a different way. For example, listing communication, communicating, and communication skills. It's not really adding value for you. Rather focus on clear and relevant skills. So the skills that are listed on your profile should also be supported somewhere else in your profile, such as in your experience, your projects, your achievements. Because when somebody sees a skill on your profile, they're often looking for evidence that you can actually use that skill. And the skills that you list should also help somebody quickly understand how you are going to contribute and add value to their team. So that's on the skills section. The specifics on the value add. When you describe your experience on LinkedIn, it's very easy simply to list the tasks that you performed. For example, somebody might write something like responsible for assisting with marketing campaigns or helped with data analysis. The problem with that is it's like they're not really telling the reader what impact they had. So instead of only focusing on the tasks that you do, it's really more powerful to focus on specific examples and outcomes. So a really helpful way to think about this, a simple formula. What was the task that you did? What was the action that the task that you took? What was the task? What was the actions that you took? And what was the result? So the task or the situation, first explain that. Then describe what action you took. And finally, explain the result or the outcome of what you did. It really helps when reading your profile, not only what you were involved in, but how your contribution made a difference. So instead of saying assisted with social media marketing, you could explain it more clearly by saying, I supported a social media campaign by analyzing engagement data, helping create weekly posts, which increased audience interaction during the campaign. Now, I, as the reader, understand what was that task that you had, what actions you took, and what was the result or the outcome. And I want you to think about this. You know, I'm sure as a student you're thinking, but I don't have much work experience yet. And that's completely normal. But experience doesn't only come from work. It comes from your projects, your group assignments. If anybody's done any internships, any volunteer work that you've done, any research that you've been involved in, or even any initiatives that you were involved in during your studies. These experiences still show your skills. They show your thinking and how you approach a problem. So when somebody reads your profile, the goal is not to let them see a list of responsibilities. The goal is to help them to quickly understand what have you done and how are you going to add value to their team or to their company. All right. Moving on, I'm going to look at some random profiles right at the end, and I'm going to show you a couple of random profiles that I picked out. So I want to move on to the next slide, where it's tips and tools for posting efficiency. So posting on LinkedIn doesn't have to feel overwhelming. You don't need to post every day, but being visible and consistent can really help people to recognize what your interests are and how you think professionally. So a helpful tip is to keep your posts fairly short and clear. And you'll see the first line, usually between 7 and 900 characters. And you can also make posting easier by creating a theme or a small series of posts during the week. For example, sharing insights from something that you've learned, commenting on industry trends, or reflecting on a project that you completed. Another practical tip is really to save ideas as they come up. If you read an interesting article or see something relevant to your field, keep it for later so that you build a small bank of content ideas. And you can schedule your posts so that you can stay organized. All right. It's really about keeping things simple. You don't have to post constantly every day, all day long. Just share thoughts, a thoughtful or relevant content, or a thought on somebody else's post. You don't need to be an expert to post on LinkedIn. Share what you are learning that is really already valuable. All right. And at the end, as it says on the slide, I will give you a prompt that will help you with content ideas. All right. Posts and comments. Everything that you post or comment on LinkedIn becomes part of your professional image. Just please remember that. So when somebody visits your profile, they often look at your activity to understand how you think, what interests you, and how you're engaging with others. Your posts and comments are an opportunity to show what you are learning, your ideas, and your perspective on topics related to your field. And it doesn't mean that you need to write long posts or complicated content. Even a thoughtful comment on somebody else's post can show your curiosity, your communication skills, and your willingness to engage professionally. So before posting or commenting, ask yourself one simple question. Does this comment or this post reflect my professional image that I want others to see? Because over time, your activity on LinkedIn helps people understand who you are and what you care about professionally. You need to understand how to take advantage of LinkedIn. And LinkedIn really rewards people who are active and engaged on the platform. So it means that when you post or comment on or interact with others, LinkedIn is more likely to show your profile and your content to more people. Using the scheduling function can help you plan your posts in advance, but it's still important to stay genuine and not only rely on scheduled content. It's also helpful to keep your posts relevant and current. especially if they relate to your field or your industry. Posts that focus on specific topics or roles often receive more engagement. Be careful not to overuse emojis or unnecessary formatting. Clean, professional posts are usually more effective. Simply, when you stay active and you are sharing relevant insights and engaging with others professionally, LinkedIn begins to increase your visibility and more people start to discover your profile. Right. The different formats. So when you share content on LinkedIn, there are different formats that you can use. For example, you can write a text post, you can share an image, you can create a short video, you can post a carousel, or even run a poll. Every format can help you communicate ideas in a slightly different way. For example, polls are good for encouraging engagement, while images or carousels can help explain ideas visually. But the most important thing to think about is your audience. Ask yourself whether the format that you are using makes sense for the message that you want to share and for the people that you are wanting to reach. And remember, something else that's very important, engaging with other people's posts is just as valuable as creating your own. As I said earlier, the thoughtful comments can often bring more visibility to your profile and help you connect with new people in your field. Don't feel that you always have to create your own content. Just joining a conversation can be just as powerful. Right, and you'll see the note at the bottom of the slide says, comments are a growth accelerator and can bring you 3 times more profile visits and 4 times more followers. All right, you'll see this. This is the engagement strategy. So simple engagement can increase your visibility significantly. So you'll see here that Geeta just commented on somebody else's post, and that gave her 29,120 impressions. All right. So just commenting on a post that was relevant, sharing the ideas can give you more visibility. The impressions is simply how many times your content or activity has appeared on somebody else's screen. And this is where your commenting really becomes powerful. LinkedIn data shows that comments can bring up to 3 times more profile visits. And as I said in the previous slide, 4 times more followers. So sometimes being thoughtful and commenting on somebody else's post can really be more powerful than posting your own content. The idea is to be intentional on how you engage, because every like, every comment, or every post contributes to your professional presence on the platform. This is a simple formula for you to remember on LinkedIn. It's the 4-5-1 approach. So start by liking 4 posts that are relevant to your field. It helps you to stay connected with what people in your industry are talking about. Next, try to comment on around 5 posts. And as we said earlier, commenting is actually more powerful than simply liking a post. And it shows your thinking and it helps others notice your profile. When you comment, make sure that your comment adds something meaningful to the conversation. And think about the audience that are going to see it. And the final step, 1 unique post of your own during the week. And I don't want you to panic and think, oh my word, I haven't even posted once. If you haven't posted at all, try working your goal for one post a month. When you are consistently achieving one post a month, then you can think about one post every second week until you get to one post a week. All right. And your post should be about something that you've learned, a reflection on a project, an article that you found interesting, or a topic that's related to your studies or your career interests. Don't spend hours on LinkedIn. You can go down a rabbit hole. Stay visible, thoughtful, and consistent. Just remember the liking 4 posts, commenting on 5, and creating 1 or more unique post. Right. Moving on to using AI, but keeping your own voice. As I've said earlier, AI is a helpful tool, but when you are working on your LinkedIn profile or creating content, it's there to help you organize your thoughts, improve your wording, or perhaps give you ideas on what to write about. AI should be supporting your thinking, not replacing your voice. For me, using AI is about clearly explaining what my situation is. So tell AI who you are, what are you studying, what do you want to achieve. The more context you give AI, the more useful your response will be. Treat AI as if it is your younger brother or sister that has no idea what you're studying, doesn't know what you're going to be doing in the world. Try and explain it step by step in that way to AI. And also, very important, when you've written all this down for AI, make sure that to ask the last question, ask questions for understanding. So you're asking AI to ask you questions if they do not understand what you're asking them. It just helps you clarify your message and bring your message across properly. Once AI gives you a response, don't just simply copy and paste it. That's just easy. Read it, adjust it, make sure it sounds like you. Remember, your personality, your experiences, your perspective should all be reflected in your messages that you send out. And AI is really there to help you refine your message, but your story should always remain your own. Building your network. LinkedIn is sometimes described as a networking platform, but what does that really mean? Think of LinkedIn as a professional networking event that never ends. Instead of meeting people only once at an event, you can continue building connections and relationships online. Networking is not just about adding as many connections as possible. It's really about building genuine professional relationships. Start by connecting with people in your field, people whose work interests you, or professionals that are working in companies that you admire. When you connect with someone new, don't immediately ask them for something. Rather focus on building rapport and engaging with their content. Over time, these connections that you build can lead to learning opportunities, advice, collaboration, and even career opportunities. Think of LinkedIn always as a place to build relationships first, and opportunities will often follow. And at the bottom of that slide, it says groups, pages, newsletters, companies. Please make sure that you are joining groups that are relevant to your field of study. Any pages, any companies that you find interesting, any newsletters, join them. How to grow your network. So growing your network on LinkedIn again, should be intentional and aligned with your career goals. So rather than connecting with people randomly, connect with people who are related to the field that you want to enter. For example, you should be connecting with HR professionals, hiring managers, or people who are already working in the type of role that you would like one day like to have. Okay. Also can follow industry leaders, organizations, and company pages. It's going to help you to stay informed about what is happening in the industry that you're wanting to get into. LinkedIn groups can be helpful because they allow you to join conversations with professionals who share the same interests. The idea really is to build a network that supports your learning, your growth, and your career direction. Remember, your network is not only about job opportunities. It's also about learning from others, gaining insights, and building professional relationships over time. LinkedIn Jobs, it's a very useful tool when you're searching and applying for jobs. And please don't wait until you are looking for a job to create your LinkedIn profile and then start connecting. Do this now while you're still studying. Please make sure that your LinkedIn profile and your CV are updated. They should be a mirror image of each other because employers often look at both when you apply. As I said to you originally when we started, if I receive your CV, the first thing I'm going to do is go and look online at your LinkedIn profile. Use the LinkedIn job section to search for roles that are related to your field of study or the type of career that you'd like to start. It's also really helpful to set up job alerts. It means that LinkedIn will notify you when new opportunities are posted that match your interests. Another, as I said with the previous slide, following companies that you are interested in. It allows you to see when they are posting new opportunities, and it also helps you to learn more about that company. When you apply for a role, it can also be valuable, very valuable, to connect with people who work at that company, such as the recruiters, the HR professionals, team members in that specific department. It's going to help you to understand the company better and sometimes gives you the opportunity to introduce yourself professionally. The key on LinkedIn is that you should be able to use it to apply for jobs, but it's also there to research companies, build connections, and understand the industry that you want to enter.